The night it all really started, I almost didn't notice anything. That's the part that still messes with me. How ordinary it felt. Just another Thursday evening in Austin, warm air drifting through the cracked window, the kind of night we used to turn into something special. Kayla had been talking all week about this gallery opening, some boutique spot tucked between a ramen bar and a music studio, the kind of place she said was full of creative energy. Whatever that meant. I asked if she wanted me to come with her. Half joking, half hoping she'd say yes. She didn't even pause. No offense, babe, she said, swiping lip gloss across her mouth while balancing her phone between her shoulder and cheek. You'd be bored. It's mostly artists and foundation people. You just end up standing in the corner with that look on your face. What look? I asked, genuinely curious. She laughed without looking up. That one where you're pretending not to judge everyone but secretly are. I smiled, but it didn't land. Something about the way she said it felt distant. Like I was already an outsider. I stayed home. Ordered takeout from that Thai place we used to love but hadn't eaten at in months. Funny how routines shift without you noticing, how the stuff that once brought you together starts gathering dust in the corner of the life you thought you built together. I watched some mindless cooking competition on TV, scrolled through my phone, and tried not to wonder what she was doing. Who she was talking to. Who she was laughing with. She got home late. Sometime after midnight, heels clicking on the hardwood like punctuation marks to a sentence I hadn't read yet. I was pretending to be asleep on the couch, the TV still flickering silently in the background. She didn't say anything at first, just walked into the kitchen, uncorked the bottle of Cabernet she saves for good nights, and poured herself a glass like it was a well-earned reward. I cracked one eye open and watched her from the shadow of the hallway. Her movements were relaxed. Too relaxed. She sipped, stared at nothing for a moment, then disappeared into the bathroom, humming some jazz melody I didn't recognize. Her tablet was sitting on the coffee table. It buzzed once. Then again. I don't know what made me look, maybe instinct, maybe habit. Maybe because I'd started noticing that she'd been especially glued to that thing lately. Calls she took with the door closed. Showers longer than usual. Laughter that didn't sound like it was meant for me. The screen lit up. Jay from Dallas. You're the kind of beautiful that ruins sleep. That's the moment everything slowed down. That message sat on the screen like a neon sign in a dark room. My heart started pounding before I even touched the tablet. A second message rolled in. Jay from Dallas. Still thinking about your hands on me. My throat went dry. I picked up the tablet. No passcode. Probably thought I'd never look. I wish I hadn't. The conversation thread was long. Weeks, maybe months. I didn't scroll too far, I didn't need to. The tone was unmistakable. This wasn't about art or work or whatever spin she'd try to put on it later. This was flirty. An asterisk mate. Familiar. The way she texted me when we were still in that heady phase of waking up beside each other with nowhere to be. Only it wasn't me. There were references to meetings in Dallas, dinners at quiet restaurants, little inside jokes I didn't understand. One message from her read, I needed that. All of it. Another said, I can't stop thinking about the rooftop. And then the kicker, same time next week? The kind of casual closeness that didn't happen by accident. I don't know how long I stared at the screen, reading and rereading those lines, hoping one of them would suddenly make sense in a different way. She came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, her hair damp, that glass of wine still in her hand. She didn't notice me at first. Not until I spoke. Who's Jay from Dallas? She froze mid-step just for a second. But I caught it. That half-second of panic she tried to cover up with a slow blink and a casual shrug. He's a client, she said, brushing past me into the kitchen. Private donor. It's for that campaign I told you about. The Veterans Art Retreat thing. I didn't say anything. I just stood there with the tablet in my hand, screen still lit, that message still glowing like a flare. I turned it toward her. You're the kind of beautiful that ruins sleep, I read aloud. Her expression didn't change. That part scared me. She didn't look guilty or surprised. Just annoyed. He's dramatic. They all are. These guys with money and no boundaries. I ignore most of it. And the rooftop? I asked, my voice lower now. The hands? The next weak part. She took a sip of wine, then leaned against the counter, one hip cocked like she was settling in for a performance. You're reading too much into it, she said, her voice cool. You always do this, Logan. You twist things. You see one message and start building a whole conspiracy in your head. I waited, gave her space to walk it back, to explain, to give me something, anything that made sense. But she didn't. She shifted the conversation like she always did when things got uncomfortable. You know what your problem is, she said, crossing her arms. You assume everyone's out to hurt you. That's why you can't relax. Why you're always suspicious. My hands clenched the tablet. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. This isn't about me, I said. This is about you. And him. And whatever the hell this is. She rolled her eyes. God, you're exhausting sometimes. It's just a contact. Someone I'm managing. You think I have time to run around Dallas sneaking into hotel rooms like some soap opera villain? I didn't answer. I just looked at her. And for the first time in a long time, I saw someone I didn't know. The room went quiet. Just the faint hum of the fridge and the distant rattle of the air vent. I set the tablet down on the counter. Walked past her without another word. Her voice followed me halfway down the hall. Logan, don't do this again. Don't make something out of nothing just because you're insecure. But I wasn't making anything up. I was just finally seeing it. I slept on the couch that night. Not because we fought. Not because she told me to. But because the silence between us had grown too big to sleep beside. I stared at the ceiling for hours, the red wine stain still on the rim of her glass, the scent of her perfume still lingering in the hallway. She fell asleep without a word. Or maybe she pretended to the way I used to. And all I could think was how fast trust can evaporate. How one message, two messages really can unravel the entire illusion you've built your life around. I didn't know then that this was just the beginning. But something in me had already started to shift. After that night, things didn't explode. They didn't burn to the ground or unravel in some cinematic blowout. No slammed doors. No screaming matches. That might have been easier, honestly. At least then it would have felt real, loud, chaotic, raw. But this was worse. It was quiet. Calculated. A slow bleed. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She brewed coffee, humming some tune, scrolling through her phone while I sat across from her at the table, still reeling from what I'd seen. She didn't bring it up. Didn't mention the messages, or Jay, or the way she had twisted it all back onto me like it was just another one of my episodes. She had this ability to hit emotional reset like it was nothing. Just click and reboot. Like the argument didn't belong to today. And if it wasn't today, it didn't matter. But I remembered. My chest remembered. My silence was doing somersaults in my stomach. I tried to move through the day, but everything felt different. Off. Her laugh was a little too rehearsed. Her touches, if they happened at all, felt delayed, like she was reading from a script she didn't believe in anymore. She kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, but it wasn't a kiss. It was contact. Like a barcode being scanned. A gesture to complete the appearance of normal. That's when I started noticing things. Like how she suddenly started bringing her phone into the bathroom every time. Even in the middle of dinner. Even when she was just brushing her teeth. The way she tilted the screen away from me when I walked into the room. Before, she used to scroll through memes with me. Yeah? Her screen might as well have been encrypted by the Pentagon. And it wasn't just her phone. It was her too. She became unavailable. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like she had set her inner, away status and forgot to tell me. I'd talk, she'd nod. I'd ask how her day was, she'd say fine and change the subject. If I reached for her in bed, she'd turn over, say she was tired, or claim her back hurt. That became her go-to excuse. It's just been a long day. Clients are stressing me out. I'm exhausted. Sometimes she'd just sigh, heavy and dramatic, like in asterisk Macy itself had become another item on her to-do list. We used to talk about everything, dumb stuff, big stuff, nothing stuff. But now our conversations were strictly transactional. We're out of almond milk. Your mom called. Did you pay the insurance? That was the script. That was the performance. Marriage theater, Act 3, indifference. The trips to Dallas became more frequent. They started as once-a-month visits, business meetings, gallery tours, a donor's brunch. But now it was bi-weekly. Then weekly. Then I might stay an extra night, depending on traffic. I used to drive her to the train station or wave goodbye from the porch. I stopped doing that. She stopped asking. She started packing lighter, smiling less, and coming back with this glaze over her eyes like she was still somewhere else. I'd ask about her trip and she'd say, productive. That word became her favorite. Not great, not interesting. Just productive. Like she was clocking in at some emotional call center and didn't want to talk about the people on the other end of the line. One night, she came back late, close to midnight. I was sitting on the couch, laptop open, pretending to be buried in work, but really just staring at an empty Google document. She came in quietly, almost tiptoeing, like she was trying not to wake someone. She didn't see me at first. She dropped her bag, pulled off her heels, and let out the soft, satisfied sigh. The kind you make when a good night lingers on your skin. I asked her how the trip was. She jumped a little. Then smiled that small, tired smile she gave me now, the one that didn't touch her eyes. Exhausting, she said, brushing past me toward the bathroom. I'm gonna take a quick shower. She was in there for over 40 minutes. I stared at the bathroom door the entire time, listening to the sound of water hitting tile, wondering if she was washing off more than sweat. That's when the questions started circling my brain like vultures. Who was texting her late at night? Why did her phone now live face down even when charging? Why did she delete her browser history like she worked for the CIA? Who was she laughing with in those little voice notes when she thought I wasn't listening? I tried to ask once. It was a Saturday morning. We were both in the kitchen, her in a hoodie that wasn't mine, stirring almond milk into her coffee. I told her I missed her. Said something felt off. That we hadn't been close in a while. She didn't look up. Just kept stirring. I've just been overwhelmed, she said. With what? I asked softly. Is it work? Us. She finally looked at me and for a second her eyes softened. But only for a second. Why do you always need everything to be a problem, she said. Sometimes people just get tired. Tired of what? She shrugged. I don't know. This. Everything. And that was it. End of conversation. End of effort. Like trying to draw water from a well that had been dry for months. I started keeping track of the days she was too tired. They outnumbered the days she looked at me with warmth. Her phone buzzed constantly, group chats, meetings, just my sister. Except her sister never FaceTimed at 11 p.m. from a number marked no caller ID. Once she left her phone on the table to grab something from the bedroom. My eyes landed on a name I didn't recognize. Jam? No photo. Just initials. The message preview read, "Wish you were still here." That was it. When she came back, I asked casually, "Who's Jam?" She blinked. What? Your phone just lit up. Someone named Jam. Oh. Just a gallery contact. He wants to do a panel next month. She said it so fast, so smooth, I almost believed her. Interesting time to send work texts, I said. She raised an eyebrow. Jesus, Logan? Are you monitoring my notifications now? And just like that, it was my fault again. I was the problem. The paranoid boyfriend. The insecure husband. The man who couldn't respect boundaries. That night, she turned off her phone before bed and placed it screen down on the floor beside her side of the bed. I didn't ask why. I already knew the answer. One night, I dreamt she was standing on a balcony in Dallas, her back to me, talking to someone I couldn't see. In the dream, I called out to her, but she didn't hear me. Or maybe she just didn't care. I woke up with a weight in my chest that didn't leave for days. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe I was too needy. Maybe I had imagined the messages. Maybe Jay was just some weird flirt and she really was just exhausted. Maybe distance was normal in a relationship this far in. After all, things slow down, right? But here's what I know now, people don't just get distant. Not like that. Not overnight. Not all at once. Distance is deliberate. It's built. Brick by brick. Secret by secret. I didn't have proof. Not yet. But I had instincts. And they were screaming. Something was happening. And I was no longer part of it. It showed up on a Wednesday. No return address. Just a plain, white envelope in the mailbox, buried between junk coupons and a property tax notice. I might have tossed it if my name hadn't been handwritten on the front in neat, careful lettering. The kind of penmanship you don't see much anymore, like someone took their time. Like it mattered. Inside was one thing. A photograph. It wasn't folded or creased. Glossy, full color, thick paper stock. Someone had gone out of their way to make sure it was preserved. Intentional. At first, I didn't recognize what I was looking at. The sh*T was from a rooftop, angled slightly from above, probably taken from another building or some clever corner. It took me a few seconds to process it. The skyline was unmistakable. Downtown Dallas. You could see the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge glowing faintly in the distance, the lights reflecting off the glass buildings behind her. Her. Kayla. She was seated at a round table near the railing, wine glass in hand. Hair curled. Makeup done just the way she used to for our anniversaries. And the dress, God, the dress. That's what hit me hardest. It was the one I'd given her 2 years ago. Soft blue, silk blend, high neckline with a small bow she always let hang loose. Said it made her feel expensive. Said she only wore it when she wanted to feel loved. She was wearing it that night, but not for me. Seated beside her was a man I didn't recognize. His face was turned halfway toward her, smiling. Tall, dark hair, suit jacket draped over his chair, sleeves rolled up like he belonged there. Like this wasn't a first-time meeting. The angle of their bodies was what crushed me. The way her legs angled toward him. The way she leaned in, elbow on the table, chin resting on her knuckles. That look on her face, it was soft. Familiar. An asterisk mate. That was the same look she used to give me when we'd sit on the porch talking about our future. The look that said, I know you. I see you. I choose you. Only now it wasn't mine. I stared at the photo for what felt like hours. Every detail hit like a punch to the ribs. Her hand lightly grazing his. His phone on the table, screen up like he had nothing to hide. 2 empty wine glasses between them, another bottle halfway done. Her laughter, frozen in a still image, radiated off the paper. There was no caption. No note. Just evidence. Whoever sent it didn't want credit. They just wanted me to know. I didn't confront her right away. That's the strange part. Maybe I needed the pain to settle in. Maybe I needed to look at it 100 times just to believe it was real. Or maybe some part of me still hoped there was a logical explanation, some context I hadn't considered. That maybe it was just unfortunate timing. Maybe someone caught her at a weird angle. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But the truth is, it was exactly what it looked like. She came home that night, humming again. That same careless tune from the gallery night. Dropped her bag on the kitchen stool, kicked off her flats, and walked straight to the fridge like it was any other night. I sat at the dining table, the photo face down in my lap. Good trip? I asked, steadying my voice. Yeah. Tiring. She popped open a can of sparkling water. There was some event at the rooftop terrace at the Gilbert. Beautiful view. I wish I'd taken a photo, it was perfect golden hour. Golden hour. I almost laughed. She'd been there. Same spot. Same man. That was all I needed. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. That weekend we had dinner with friends. A small group, just 2 couples we'd known since college. Kayla was all smiles, laughs, cheek kisses, and we should get together more often. She played the part so well, I started to doubt myself again. I kept thinking about how easy she made it look. Like she wasn't holding anything in. Like there wasn't a whole other life tucked away behind hotel curtains and rooftop glasses. After everyone left, I went into our bedroom, pulled the photo from my nightstand, and stared at it again. I was hoping to feel numb by then. I wasn't. The next morning, I placed it face up on the coffee table. I went to make coffee, didn't say a word. She came out 20 minutes later in leggings and a tee, yawning, hair up in a messy bun. When she saw it, she stopped. Her eyes froze. Her body didn't move. Just silence. I waited. 1 second. 2. 5. Finally, she spoke. Where did you get this? Not what is this? Not it's not what it looks like. Just where? That's when I knew. I didn't even respond. Just watched her face cycle through it, shock, panic, calculation, deflection. Like she was running through scenarios in her mind, trying to decide which lie would land the softest. I don't know who sent that, she said finally. That's a violation of my privacy. I laughed, genuinely laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of how ridiculous it sounded. Your privacy? I asked. That's what we're worried about now? She folded her arms, but I could see the tremble in her fingers. It's not what you think. I stared her down. I think it's you, on a rooftop, in a dress I bought you, leaning into a man I've never met. Her jaw clenched. I had wine with someone. That's all. Someone you text late at night. Someone who tells you he can't sleep because of you. Someone you see more than you see your husband. She didn't reply. Just stood there, absorbing it. I continued. You wore the dress because it meant something. You smiled like you hadn't smiled with me in months. You gave him your time, your body language, your attention. She blinked fast, once, twice. Her eyes watered but didn't fall. No tears. Not yet. You've been gone a long time, Kayla, I said quietly. This just confirmed it. She finally sat down across from me as if the weight of the moment had finally hit her legs. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. That phrase again. The same excuse every cheater pulls from their back pocket. I didn't mean for it to happen. But it did happen. She let it happen. She created space for it. She carved out time. She left crumbs and texts and rooftop moments and told herself it was okay because I'd pulled away or because she needed something more. Whatever justification she'd been feeding herself, I didn't care. All I knew was I wasn't part of her story anymore. She stood slowly. Her face pale. Her voice small. What happens now? That question hung between us like fog. Thick. Suffocating. I didn't have an answer. Not then. All I knew was something inside me had fractured in a way that couldn't be glued back. Maybe later I'd scream. Maybe I'd cry. Maybe I'd punch a wall or send a message to whoever he was. But right now, I just sat there watching the woman I used to know stand in the same room as me, looking completely unfamiliar. She waited. Maybe for forgiveness. Maybe for permission to cry. I gave her neither. Instead, I stood, walked past her, and went to her bedroom. I closed the door. I didn't lock it. But I didn't open it again either. After the photo, something inside me shut down. Not violently. Not in some dramatic, movie-ending kind of way. It was quiet, more like a light dimming. A slow retreat from the space we once shared. I didn't yell. I didn't demand names or dates. I didn't ask how many nights or how many lies it took to get there. I just stopped. Stopped trying. Stopped believing. Stopped pretending. What came next wasn't rage. It was clarity. For a long time, Kayla's life had been funded by mine. I don't say that to flex or play the martyr, I say it because it's the truth. When she left her full-time marketing job to pursue passion projects 2 years ago, I was proud. Genuinely. I told her to take her time, that I had us covered. I picked up extra work. Took freelance contracts. Cut back on stupid things, my gym membership, my weekend trips, little indulgences, so she could have that creative freedom she craved. And for a while, it felt worth it. She said I was her partner, her anchor, her safe place. But now? I was her safety net. Her backup plan. Her passive audience while she played starring roles on stages I never got invited to. It wasn't just the money, it was the emotional subsidy. I funded her comfort, her freedom, her lifestyle. Premium credit cards. A joint savings account. My name on every emergency contact line. Automatic transfers each month for art supplies, conference travel, wellness coaching. I used to see it as an investment in her. In us. But now I saw it for what it was, a one-sided sponsorship. A donation to someone who'd already moved on. So I did what she never saw coming. I pulled the plug. It started small. I logged into the bank and removed her name from the shared premium card. Just a click. No ceremony. No warning. Then I paused the automatic transfers to her personal checking. Next, I called our insurance rep and took her off the dental and vision add-ons, the ones she'd insisted on last year because her creative flow depended on clear sight and low stress. Done. Finally, I went into the budget app she never used and deleted the Kayla monthly folder altogether. No fights. No threats. Just decisions. That evening, she came home late again. Not Dallas late, but late enough that the dinner I'd made for myself had already gone cold. I didn't ask where she'd been. She didn't offer. We were in that strange limbo where words had stopped trying to bridge the distance. Instead, we just orbited each other like two moons spinning in separate gravitational fields. The first sign that she noticed was the Uber ride. She'd left her car at her friend's the day before and tried to book a ride using the Platinum card. Declined. She checked the app. Tried again. Still declined. Is there something wrong with the card? She asked from across the living room. I didn't look up from my laptop. Nope. Just not yours anymore. She blinked. Excuse me. I closed the laptop. Met her gaze. Calm. Steady. I took you off the premium account. And paused the transfers. You're free to use your own card. She laughed. Not because it was funny. More because it was the first time I'd made a move she didn't anticipate. Seriously, she said. You're cutting me off? I'm not cutting you off, I replied. I'm just no longer sponsoring your life. Her mouth opened like she wanted to fire something back. But nothing came out. The next day, I got a notification from the bank. She tried to use the joint account to book a massage. Declined again. That night, she came home tense. Edgy. You know I have stuff on subscription, she snapped. Apps, wellness sites. You just led all of that. I nodded. Correct. Her voice dropped an octave. That's petty. No, I said. Petty would be posting the rooftop photo on Instagram. This is simply administrative. The look she gave me? If disappointment and fury had a baby, it'd be that. But she didn't push it. Not yet. Over the next week, I watched the cracks widen. She stopped ordering groceries in bulk. Cut back on her skincare routine, the one with 20 tiny glass bottles that looked like they belonged in a chemistry lab. She canceled her next trip to Dallas, citing bad timing and mental fatigue. And when she cooked dinner one night, a basic pasta tossed with half a bag of spinach, she tried to play it off as a back-to-basics detox. That's when I knew the money wasn't just comfort. It was leverage. A cushion. An enabler. Without it, she was forced to feel the ground beneath her feet again. I wasn't being cruel. I still paid the mortgage. Still covered utilities. Still let her stay. But I wasn't going to bankroll her silence anymore. Not while she whispered secrets into someone else's phone at midnight and treated my presence like background noise. One night, she sat on the edge of the bed and asked, "Are you punishing me?" I was brushing my teeth. I paused, looked at her in the mirror. No, I said. I'm just done investing in something that's already bankrupt. She flinched. I watched it happen. A flicker in her jaw. A twitch in her eye. You think I'm just using you? She asked. I rinsed, spat, looked her dead in the face. I don't think anything anymore, Kayla. I know. She didn't reply. She just crawled into bed and turned her back to me. And for the first time in months, I slept like a man who didn't owe anyone anything. There's something about silence that can make a man obsessive. After the photo and the financial unplugging, Kayla didn't lash out like I half expected. She didn't cry or beg or blow up. She got calculated, careful, smarter about how she moved. Her face settled into this neutral calm, like someone playing chess already thinking 5 moves ahead. And that terrified me more than any confrontation would have. I'd catch her looking at me sometimes, not with affection but with analysis. Like she was studying a new version of me she didn't recognize. Maybe she was surprised I wasn't groveling. Or maybe she was just recalibrating her next story. Whatever it was, something shifted. Her Dallas trips stopped being spontaneous. They were now branded with purpose, a healing retreat. A solo reset. I need to work on me, she said one Thursday morning while zipping up a weekender bag. I'm feeling spiritually blocked and this retreat center by Lake Travis is supposed to be incredible. I nodded but said nothing. Truth was, I'd already been preparing. Months ago, before things got ugly, I bought her a fitness tracker for her birthday. She wore it religiously. Sleek, matte black band. Slept in it. Swam in it. Synced it to her phone and unknowingly to mine too. I had access to her account because I helped set it up. At the time, it felt like a gesture of support. Now, it was my quiet lifeline to the truth. While she packed granola bars and sketchbooks, I opened the app and watched her location update in real time. It didn't ping to a wellness center. It pinged to a boutique hotel near Lake Travis. I didn't say anything that morning. I hugged her goodbye, kissed her forehead, and told her to enjoy the detox. She smiled, told me she'd be journaling a lot and might not respond to texts. That part, at least, was true. 3 hours later, I was in my car, the fitness app open on the dash, following a blinking dot through winding roads and lakeside turns. The hotel came into view just before sunset. Quiet. Tucked into a tree-lined cul-de-sac. White stucco walls. Couples milling about in yoga pants and oversized sunglasses. I parked across the street, far enough to stay invisible. It didn't take long. At 6:47 p.m. I saw her. Kayla. Walking out of the hotel lobby laughing, genuinely laughing in a way she hadn't in months. Her hair was tied up in a soft bun, her shoulders relaxed. She wore the beige sweater I always loved, the one that fell just off one shoulder like it wasn't trying too hard. But it wasn't me she was laughing with. It was him. Same guy from the photo. Slightly taller in person. Clean cut. Confident. Like he belonged next to her. He was carrying her tote bag. Casual. Familiar. They strolled toward the parking area, then turned and entered one of the suites near the back. Together. I didn't move. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just sat there, watching it all unfold like I was the only person left out of a script that had been rewritten without me. I stared at the door they disappeared behind. Room 214. I could feel my pulse in my ears. Eventually, I drove off. But I didn't go home. I sat at a lookout point a few miles away, the lake reflecting the last light of day. My phone buzzed once, her automated text made it safe. Turning off my phone to reset. Love you. I almost laughed. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was in pain. That part had passed. It was something colder now. Something closer to clarity. I checked the app again around 2 a.m. Her heart rate was elevated. She was still in room 214. I imagined them tangled in bedsheets, whispering the kind of soft nothings that used to belong to me. I wondered if he knew about me. If she told him I was distant, controlling, not supportive, the usual stuff people tell themselves to sleep at night. The next morning, she posted a single photo on her private story. A ceramic teacup on a patio table, sunlight streaking across it. Caption, healing starts with stillness. I wanted to reply with the room number. Instead, I closed the app and started packing a bag of my own. 2 days later, she came home. She let herself in with the key, dropped her bag at the door, and stretched like she'd just finished a spa weekend. Her face was fresh. Her energy calm. I was sitting at the dining table, laptop open, phone next to me. She didn't notice the tension at first. Hey, she said, setting a bottle of herbal oil on the counter. I brought you this calming blend. Smells like cedar and lavender. Thought it might help with your sleep. I looked up slowly. How was room 214? She froze. Everything about her locked up. Her fingers stopped mid-unzip. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. For the first time since this began, she looked scared. What did you say? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Room 214, I repeated, standing now. Lake Travis. Suite with a balcony view. You were there. With him. Silence. Then the lies began, stuttering and unraveling all at once. I don't know what you think you know. I cut her off. I know everything. I opened the fitness tracker app and slid the phone toward her. You forgot to unlink it. I watched the whole trip in real time. Her face crumpled. Not in sorrow. In defeat. Logan, ew. Don't, I said. Just don't. I'm not looking for an explanation. I'm not here to fix this. She slumped into a chair. I didn't plan for it to go that far, she said, staring at the table. I told myself it was just emotional. That it didn't mean anything. And now? She didn't answer. That told me everything. I leaned on the counter, exhaling. It wasn't a one-time thing, I said. He wasn't some accident you bumped into on a retreat. This was routine. Practiced. She nodded slowly. Silent. I never stopped loving you, Logan, she said after a long pause. Even through all of this, I swear to God, I never stopped. I looked at her, not recognizing the face that used to be my home. Then why was I the only one left out of your life? She didn't answer that either. Just sat there, twisting the cap off that stupid bottle of calming oil. It happened the day after she came home. I was sitting in my car outside the house, just staring at the place I no longer recognized. I hadn't been inside in hours. Something about the silence behind those walls felt heavier than anything I'd carried in my hands. That's when I noticed a man walking down the street, hoodie up, head down, like he wasn't sure if he should be here. He slowed as he approached my car and gave a cautious wave. Logan? I nodded slowly, confused. I'm sorry to bother you, he said, glancing toward the house. I think we need to talk. About Kayla. I stiffened. Who are you? He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Name's Erin. I dated her. For a while. A couple years ago. Maybe longer than you realize. He scrolled through photos, then held up the screen. There she was. Kayla. Smiling on a beach. Laughing in a mirror selfie with him behind her. One photo had her in a hoodie I still had hanging in the hallway. She looked like she belonged there. With him. She told me you were just her roommate. Said the relationship was complicated, Erin continued. She said I was the only one who understood her. I felt the words hit slow and deep. She didn't just lie to me, she created whole stories, whole versions of herself that existed outside of this house. While I was wondering where she disappeared to, she was living other lives with other men speaking other truths. How'd you find me? I asked. She stopped replying. I started digging. Found a mutual friend who mentioned you by name. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know until it was too late. He left quietly. No drama. No bitterness. Just a strange camaraderie between two strangers stitched together by the same lie. 3 days later, I packed a single bag, left my house key on the counter, and walked out. I didn't tell her I was leaving. I didn't need a scene or one final argument where everything turns into another spin of blame. She had already left long before I ever did. Emotionally. Mentally. All I was doing now was catching up. I found a small apartment across town, nothing fancy, but it had light and it had quiet. The first night there, I slept like a man finally free of noise. I started running again. Early mornings. No music. Just breath and pavement and space. I got a new job, something simple, something stable. I didn't check her social media. I didn't ask mutual friends for updates. Closure wasn't something she could give me. I had to choose it. And I did. Kayla was gone even when she was still in the house. But me? I was finally coming back. Not to her. To myself.